Morning students. So today we will start the new chapter, that is the chapter 2, biological classification, and we have completed first chapter. Hope you understood it, that is the diversity of living organisms, and you learn all the key points there. These key points I am discussing along with each of the chapter. Means in your book you will have more content than I am teaching you here, but all that content is not your syllabus. So that is why I am discussing syllabus in each and every chapter. So here in this biological classification you'll have the five kingdom classification system, and in this five kingdom classification system you have to study the salient features of each of the kingdom. Salient means the key features or characteristic features of the each kingdom and the classification of that kingdom also. Like five kingdoms are there: Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae and Animalia. So you will study the salient features and the classification of these kingdoms. So understood, there should be no confusion that what is given in the book, if it is not taught to you, it does not mean it is the part of the syllabus or it is left over. No, it means that is not the part of the syllabus. So the things which are the part of the syllabus I am discussing with each and every chapter. So now we'll start the chapter 2, biological classification. So first we'll study some of the history of the classification, which I have explained you in the previous chapter also. Then the earliest classification was done by Aristotle. He used simple morphological characters to classify plant into trees, shrubs and herbs. He also divided animals into two groups: those who possess the red blood cells and those who did not. So this was the simplest classification. When we see the classification history, then in the beginning Carl Linnaeus was the scientist who classified the living organisms into two kingdoms. They are the Plantae and the Animalia, and this was the first classification, and system was used till very recently, but this system does not distinguish between eukaryotic, prokaryotic, unicellular and multicellular, and photosynthetic and non-photosynthetic organisms. So this was rejected. After this two kingdom classification, the third kingdom classification was proposed by the Ernst Haeckel in 1886. So he proposed a third kingdom of life, that is Protista. So Carl Linnaeus proposed only two kingdoms, Plantae and Animalia. Then Ernst Haeckel he proposed the third kingdom of the life, that is Protista, in which he placed all the unicellular organisms. But in the year 1938, Herbert E. Copeland he proposed the fourth kingdom, Monera, and in this kingdom he placed the prokaryotic unicellular organisms, which were till now clubbed with the Protista. So due to their unique features, scientists felt that fungi should be given a separate status. So again now the one more kingdom is added, that is the fungi. So in this manner that classification is started from the two kingdom, then the third kingdom was added, that is the third kingdom of life was the Protista, then the fourth kingdom added, that is the Monera, and at last the fifth kingdom added, that was the fungi. So this five kingdom classification, it was proposed by R.H. Whittaker in 1969, and the kingdoms defined by him were named as Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae and Animalia. The main criteria for the classification used by him include cell structure, thallus organization, that is related with the plant body, and mode of nutrition, reproduction and phylogenetic relationship. So these were the criteria. Like mode of nutrition means that whether the organism will be autotrophic or heterotrophic, their cellular organization, whether the cells are eukaryotic or prokaryotic. So the five kingdoms which were classified by Whittaker, they are different in the various aspects. So in short we will discuss here. Like kingdom Monera, they are unicellular in the prokaryotic organism. They have cell wall and they may be auto or heterotrophic. All the bacteria, they come under the cyanobacteria, bacteria, they come under the Monera. Then the Protista are there. So in Protista, unicellular organism, but they are the eukaryotic and they are movable. They move with the help of cilia, flagella, pseudopodia. Usually no cell wall, but the some forms they may have the cell wall in the Protista. and their mode of nutrition may be auto or heterotrophic. So examples of the protista are amoeba, paramecium, euglena. Then the third kingdom, fungi. Fungi are eukaryotic, multicellular and having a chitinous cell wall. Chitinous cell wall means their cell wall is made up of chitin. They are non-motile and their mode of nutrition is heterotrophic. You know children, autotrophic and heterotrophic. Heterotrophic, which cannot make their food on, means depends for their food on other organism, and autotrophic, those who are able to synthesize their food own, like plants, they are autotrophic. So fungi are heterotrophic. Then plantae, they are the eukaryotic, multicellular with cellulosic cell wall. Cellulosic cell wall means their cell wall is made up of cellulose, and their mode of nutrition is autotrophic. Nutrients are acquired by the photosynthesis. For example, fern, mango, banana, many examples of plants you know. Animalia, the kingdom Animalia, they are eukaryotic, multicellular, but cell wall is absent. You know, animal cell does not consist of cell wall, so without a cell wall, and they have the ability to move with the help of cilia. Like plantae, these members, they are not able to move, but the Animalia, they are able to move with the help of various structures like cilia, flagella, muscles, and their mode of nutrition is heterotrophic. Examples are many: earthworm, cockroach, tiger, including human being. So understood children? This is the description of 5 kingdom classification in brief. Now this 5 kingdom classification, Monera, Protista, fungi, plantae and Animalia, we are going to study in detail. So here we will study each of the kingdom with the salient features as per the syllabus, the structure, if it is asked, the classification we are going to study. So we will start with the kingdom Monera. As I said that the kingdom Monera, it is the kingdom where all the bacteria are present in this. So bacteria, they comprise the kingdom Monera. They are the most abundant microorganism. You know, bacteria are the microorganisms. They live in extreme habitat like hot springs, deserts, snow and deep oceans. Like members of the archaea you have studied. Many of them, they live in or on the other organisms as a parasite also. They are grouped under different categories on the basis of their shape and size. These all we will study in the detail in the next slide again. And some, they are able to synthesize their food. They are known as the autotrophic, or some are chemosynthetic autotrophic, getting energy from the chemicals. Vast majority of the bacteria are heterotrophic. They do not synthesize their own food but depend on other organisms. So let we see the salient features of the Monera. This kingdom Monera is represented by bacteria, and bacteria are the prokaryotes, as I explained you. Now we will study the general characteristics. They are the unicellular prokaryotes. You know children, unicellular means they are made up of single cell. So they all are the single celled organisms. Prokaryotes means these single celled organisms, they do not have the well defined nucleus. Non-cellulosic cell wall means their cell wall is not made up of cellulose as in the plant cell. Then autotrophic or heterotrophic mode of nutrition, that I just now I explained you what is the meaning of autotrophic and heterotrophic. Then locomotion. So movement takes place in the bacteria with the help of flagella or gliding movement, or some they may be non-motile, means they don't move. Now reproduction takes place by binary fission, that you remember in asexual reproduction you have studied in the lower classes already. Binary fission, conjugation, transduction or transformation, they are the mode of sexual reproduction that we will study in the detail. Kingdom has been divided into 2 main groups. These 2 main groups are the Archaebacteria and Eubacteria. Archaebacteria, you know children, you have studied in detail in the domain Archaea. So we will study here in the brief. These bacteria, they live in the most harsh habits like extremely salty, halophiles, hot springs, that is thermophiles or thermoacidophiles, marshy area, they are methanogens. They differ from other bacteria by having a different cell wall structure, and this feature is responsible for their survival in the extreme conditions. Methanogens are present in the gut of several ruminant animals like cows and buffaloes, and responsible for the production of methane. So understood, these are archaea bacteria. Their detail we have done already in the domain archaea in the first part of that chapter 1. Now eubacteria, they are actually the true bacteria, and they are thousands of different bacteria or true bacteria. They are characterized by the presence of rigid cell wall and if motile flagellum is present in them. Some of these can fix atmospheric nitrogen also in the specialized cells. So these cells are known as heterocyst, and these bacteria are nostoc and anabina. They play important role in recycling the nutrients. Some are heterotrophic bacteria abundant in nature, and mainly they are decomposers. Many of them, they have significant impact on the human affairs also, means they are helpful in making the curd and cheese, production of antibiotics, nitrogen fixing in the legume roots, and some are pathogens also causing the disease in the humans, plants, and the animals also. So let we study the structure in the detail. So structure of a typical bacterial cell, this you practice, diagram you practice. I will explain you the main structure. So we'll start from the outermost structure. Outermost structure is known as the, or the boundary of the bacteria is known as the cell envelope. This cell envelope is made up of either of 2 or 3 layers. So right from the outermost layer is known as the capsule. If this is present, then this is the outermost layer. So it is the capsule. Inner to capsule cell wall is there, and inner to cell wall is the plasma membrane. So this capsule, cell wall, and plasma membrane all together they form the cell envelope. So cell and this wall is the structure, outer covering protects it and gives the shape, and this cell wall is made up of peptidoglycan, and the capsule, it is the additional protective covering made up of polysaccharides. So some bacteria they have capsules, some other they do not have. So this is made up of polysaccharide. It protects the bacteria from drying out and also from the phagocytosis by larger microorganisms. Cell membrane is the plasma membrane. So this is the protective covering and the regulating the flow of substances into and out of the cell. Now the cytoplasm is there. So cytoplasm, the cell wall encloses a gel-like substance known as the cytoplasm. Various metabolic activities they take place in the cell. It contains the enzymes, ribosomes, and all other organic molecules. Now ribosomes. So what are ribosomes? You can see here many ribosomes are here. So the bacterial ribosomes are found freely floating in the cytoplasm, and they are 70S type that I discussed in the previous chapter, 70S and 80S. 70S type, they carry out the protein synthesis. Then nucleoid. You know children that these prokaryotic cells, they do not have the membrane bound nucleus. So their genetic material is represented by the single chromosome, and it is made up of the circular DNA, and it is localized in the specific region of the cell that is known as the nucleoid. Understood? And some that bacteria, they have the extra chromosomal circular DNA also. This extra chromosomal circular DNA is known as the plasmid, and these plasmids, they can replicate themselves independently. So their function is independent of this nucleoid DNA. So this is also DNA, but it is functioning independently in the bacterial cell, and but these that plasmids are not involved in the reproduction. Only this DNA nucleoid is involved in the reproduction. Then we will come to the flagella. You can see here the flagellum is shown. So flagella, they are the long whip like structure projecting out of the cell wall. They come out from the cell wall. And what is the role of the flagella? They help in the locomotion, in the movement. Then we will see the pili. You can see the pilus. Pilus is the singular word. So these are small hair like projections, and these projections, they emerge out from the surface of the bacteria. What is the function? They assist the bacteria in attaching to other cells, means they help these bacteria to attach on the other cells or onto the host tissue. Sometimes special pili also developed. Those specialized pili, they are used to exchange genetic material during the process of conjugation, that is the mode of reproduction. One more structure is there, that is important one we will study, that is mesosome. You can see here, this is the mesosome. Mesosomes are the extension of the plasma membrane, and they are the reservoirs of respiratory enzymes. You know, children, that this prokaryotic cell does not consist of double membrane bound organelles. So no mitochondria, no Golgi body, no any other double membrane bound structure. So here the mesosomes, it contains the respiratory enzymes in it. So they are considered to be analogous to the mitochondria. Analogous means similar to the mitochondria. So these mesosomes, they work like the mitochondria, and the presence of large number of mesosomes, particularly during the growth phase, is seen, means this is the structure where the energy is produced. So understood, children? So mesosomes, they are involved in the wall synthesis also, and they are the structure where the respiratory enzymes are present. So with the help of them, they provide the energy by breaking down the glucose. So understood, children? This is the structure of a typical bacterium cell. Diagram is important, so you just learn the diagram. Learning the diagram and the proper that labeling is must. Now we'll classify the bacteria. So bacteria are classified on the basis of shape first. So there are 4 types of bacteria on the basis of shape. Coccus, they are known as the cocci also. Singular word is coccus. So they are spherical. You can see these are the spherical bacteria. These are some that species are there, like the diplococci, tetrad, sarcina, and staphylococci. So these all are the spheres. Then the second is the bacilli. Bacilli, or singular, is known as the bacillus. They are rod shaped bacteria. So you can see there are many, like the chain of bacilli, bacillus anthracis. Here you will see the flagellate rods, Salmonella typhi are there. Here the Clostridium botulinum, you know, that is responsible for the botulism. In 9th you have studied, if you remember. And then the next is there, the Vibrio is there. So Vibrio are there, they are the comma shaped. And next is the Spirilla. So Spirilla means they are the spirally coiled, like this is the Vibrio, and these are the Spirilla. Helicobacter pylori, this is Vibrio, that is the Vibrio cholerae. So these are the means different types of bacteria on the basis of their shapes. And now the next classification we will study on the basis of mode of nutrition, means the type of food or the way by which they get the food. So modes of nutrition on in the bacteria, on that basis, basically bacteria are of 2 types, autotroph and heterotroph. So autotroph and heterotroph you understand already. Autotroph means capable to synthesize their food on, heterotroph depend for their food on others. So this autotrophs are there, their carbon source is the atmospheric carbon dioxide, making of own food by reducing the carbon dioxide, while heterotrophs are there using ready-made organic molecules for the food. An organic compound is the carbon source. Now here these autotrophic bacteria are of further 2 types, photoautotrophs and chemoautotrophs. Photo means light, chemo means it is a chemical, that is the inorganic compounds. So photoautotrophs are the bacteria where the source of energy is the light, and electron donors are different, like water, sulfur dioxide. So they are using the different electron donors. So these are the photosynthetic bacteria. Examples: green sulfur bacteria. Green sulfur bacteria, they use hydrogen sulfide H2S as the electron donor. Purple sulfur bacteria and the cyanobacteria. So they all come under the photoautotrophs. Then we will come to the chemoautotrophs. Chemoautotrophs, they use inorganic substances as the source of energy. They are of different types on the basis of the this substance they are using, like the methane bacteria, nitrifying bacteria, iron bacteria, hydrogen bacteria, sulfur bacteria. So all these are the variety of the bacteria on the basis of this mode of nutrition. Then we will see the heterotrophs. Heterotrophs are also two types, photoheterotrophs and chemoheterotrophs. Photoheterotrophs means source of energy is light, but their source of electron is the organic compound. For example, the non-sulfur bacteria are there, purple non-sulfur bacteria and green non-sulfur bacteria. And chemoautotrophs are there, their energy is obtained from the chemical reaction. So they are of the different types. Some of the bacteria are parasites. These chemoheterotrophs, they are parasites. Parasites means they obtain from their nutrition from the living host, living on the body of other organisms, animals and all that. Then another example is there of the chemoheterotrophs are there, saprophytes. Saprophyte means they obtain their nutrition from the dead and decaying organic matter. Means some bacteria, they obtain their nutrition from the dead bodies of plant and animal. So they are saprophytes. Some other bacteria are there, they are symbionts. Symbionts means they live in the mutual beneficial relationship with the other organisms, like that nitrogen fixing bacteria present in the root nodules of the leguminous crops. So they are symbionts. Symbionts means bacteria are not harmful, they are beneficial for the plant and they are getting benefit also from the plant. So these are the mode of nutrition in the bacteria. Now another classification is there on the basis of the respiration. So on the basis of respiration, basically three are there: aerobic bacteria, obligate anaerobe and facultative anaerobe. So we'll understand it. Aerobic bacteria means what? There aerobic bacteria, they are known as the obligate aerobes also. These bacteria require oxygen for their survival. It means they die in the absence of oxygen. So they require free oxygen to carry out cellular respiration, and if oxygen is not available, they die. Anaerobic bacteria are there, they cannot tolerate oxygen actually, do not require free oxygen for cellular respiration, and they die when exposed to it. So these two category. Obligate means they cannot live in the presence of O2. If they are not able to live in the absence of O2, then they are obligate anaerobe. Facultative anaerobe are the bacteria, they can live in either the presence or absence of O2. Means these bacteria respire aerobically if oxygen is present. मीन्स अगर ऑक्सीजन प्रेजेंट है तो एरोबिकली भी रेस्पिरेशन हो जाएगा, और जब ऑक्सीजन नहीं है तो दे स्टिल दे आर एबल टू रेस्पायर बाय द anaerobic respiration. Understood, children? So this is the bacterial classification. Now some examples also, 1 or 2 examples you have to learn here. Aerobic bacteria like Bacillus, Pseudomonas, anaerobic like the Clostridium, and many are there like Peptococcus. Facultative anaerobes are there, that is the members of the family of Enterobacteriaceae. So one example you can write here is Streptococcus bovis also. Many examples you can see in your book also. So 1 or 2 examples of these bacteria you will learn. So understood, children? Now one more classification is left, that is on the basis of Gram staining. So that part we will do in the next lecture. But you study the topic from the book and learn all these important terms: 5 kingdom classification, Archaebacteria, Eubacteria, photoautotrophs, chemoautotrophs, photoheterotrophs, chemoheterotrophs, aerobic bacteria, anaerobic bacteria, facultative anaerobic